Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips podcast for November 10th, 2013. I'm Andy Ryan. Joining me as always is the banana peel to my blue shell, Dave DeWert. Dave, what are you playing this week?
So I keep playing Assassin's Creed. I got to a point where I actually had to grind for money in Assassin's Creed, which is really weird because it's like, hey, you should probably upgrade your boat before you come and try to do this mission. And I was like, what the fuck? Really? So I've been doing that, and I just did that mission, and it was not really necessary for me to upgrade my boat that much. And I was really pissed that I'd spent like 4 hours grinding out side missions to get a bunch of stuff and just ransacking random ships so that I could do this mission that I didn't need my boat for.
Would it have let you do the mission without?
Oh yeah, you could totally do it. It just says, we recommend you upgrade your boat before trying to take on this mission. And I don't know if it's because I have just figured out how to how to shoot off all the different stuff, or if it's just because it's tuned to be really easy. Like the story missions are tuned to be really easy, that I was able to do it, pretty much without issue. So I've been doing that, and you're gonna be happy about this. I bought Killzone Mercenary for the Vita, and I've been playing that all week.
Yes.
Off and on.
Mister, I don't play console shooters.
It's not a console, it's portable. It's a handheld.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I figured, because Killzone Shadows Fall looks really good, right? And there's not a ton on the PS4 that's coming out initially that I'm really interested in. I've already got Assassin's Creed, and I might just pay the $10 and have it on my PSN account, and then when I get a PS4, I'll just play like the first few hours of AC4 again, just to see the difference between the two versions. But I was like, you know what, Killzone Shadows Fall looks pretty good. Let's see how Mercenaries is. And Mercenaries is pretty good. I found it's very easy to pick out headshots, though.
Yeah.
Because all the guys have orange freaking lights on their face.
Yep.
That's silly.
That's every Killzone.
Yeah, I know. That's really silly to me that they have these giant orange eyes. And, like, tactically, that doesn't make any damn sense. Why would you give your position away with giant orange eyes?
They look
That's
really
why
cool.
the space Nazis lose.
Yeah.
Because they don't think
I mean, the reason, they have to wear those rebreathers.
Yeah,
to
but they don't
function.
need the giant glowing eyes. Like
That's
that seems like those are LEDs they could turn off.
That's true.
So yeah, that's one thing that kind of bothers me, but it's not bad, and I like the fact that not only are you are a mercenary, so you're doing both sides of the coin. You're doing missions for both sides, and it's kind of neat. I haven't gotten into the multiplayer yet. Been having weird PSN issues with my Vita, and in general at home. I think I need to just reset my router or whatever, but it's every time I go to sync my stuff for Killzone, it says, oh, you've been disconnected from the PSN. In order to use your online features, you must reconnect. And I'm online, and I flip over, I can go to the store, look around and all that, and it just doesn't. I don't know, I was having that problem with the beta as well. I reset my Vita, and that kind of seemed to help, but at the same time, I still couldn't do whatever. But I'm not too worried about the multiplayer anyway. I might do it here and there. If you're on and you're like, hey, let's kill some stuff and we can team up or whatever.
Is that how I sound?
Sometimes. When we're talking about Killzone, yeah, you sound totally dude bro.
Totally don't do bro.
Dude bro. And that's pretty much it. Between Assassin's Creed and that and a little bit of Pokemon at work, that's about it. I really haven't been playing a whole hell of a lot. Spent way more on games than I needed to. By the way, I have that one for you. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
I've been playing a lot of Gradius 3 on my Super Nintendo because I just picked that up a week ago or so. And I just, it's simple, easy, throw it in, it's half hour worth of game, it's really nice. And Gradius is always kind of, I know there's usually a big hubbub between Gradius and R-Type, and I actually prefer R-Type, but in terms of the Super Nintendo versions, Gradius 3 ekes out just a little bit more because there's a lot of slowdown in both.
Yeah.
There's a lot more in R-Type.
Yeah, and R-Type was always one of those games. It's like, oh man, it's R-Type, and I got into a point during the Genesis Super NES area when I really wanted an R-Type game, an R-Type-like game at home. But the one that I got was called Subterranea, and it wasn't that great.
No, Subterranea.
That's like a two-dimensional exploration, and the ship rotates 180 degrees or 360 degrees. It wasn't what I thought it was. But my grandmother got it for me for Christmas, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, Gradius.
Once I played it and I actually got my hands on it, I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted at all.
In terms of Genesis and the side-scrolling shmup, the Genesis has a lot of great shmups, but my personal favorite is Gradius.
Yeah.
I passed a copy of Gyarius up 3 years ago or so.
You haven't seen another one since.
Haven't seen another one since.
Sad
But I
face.
passed it up for a Yakuza game, and I really like that Yakuza game. So
That's cool.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I've also been playing Dragons Dogma: Dark Arisen.
Oh, is that the whole game, or is that just the
Yes.
expansion? Okay.
The whole game. Whole
Damn it!
caboodle.
I need it. I think. Okay, good. I've already saved that on my PSN.
Yeah,
So whenever I go
it's-
back to it, I'll have my characters still.
It's free on PS Plus, and I really worked that 10100 network card in the PS3 to get that thing downloaded.
Yeah, it takes a while. It's kind of
17
big.
gigs.
Yeah, well, you know what? When you think about it, PS4 games are going to be 20 plus easily.
Yeah,
on-
but it's got a 10100 1000. So
Yeah, it has a gigabit card in it,
Yeah.
but for people who don't have Google Fiber, yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while to download. It's a 10 plus gig game, so yeah, it's going to be a
17.
minute. Yeah, 10 plus. Anything that's over like 8 or 9 gigs really will take a while on the PSN, especially with as slow as the PSN is over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So, which is how mine's connected, which is why I never download anything
Yeah.
hardly anymore.
I actually went and bought a gigabit bridge, a gigabit switch to put in my living room.
So that when you get a PS4
Yeah,
and a
there's-
smart TV,
There's already the spot for the PS4. Like,
You've already
I've
cleared out,
moved
like-
stuff over, and it's
It's
little,
reserved.
It's,
It's
little
got a little
Cat 5 is
card.
hanging out.
it's got a card that just says reserved for PS4,
Yeah, Lucy. No.
like a fancy dinner party.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been playing Dragons Dogma: The Dark Arisen.
And how are you liking that?
I'm really liking it.
Like I liked what I played of Dragon's Dogma,
Yeah.
up until the point where you actually have to like chase the griffin into the tower, which you probably aren't there yet.
Not there yet.
Um,
I'm very pleased with the combat.
the combat,
I'm
yeah.
very pleased with the world and how the world looks. There's a couple technical snafus.
Yeah, there's a few things here and there.
There's a lot of pop. You start in the fishing village and you walk out of your apartment area. And
Yeah, you're walking around.
And I just walk down the steps and I'm looking next to me. There's no one next to me, and I'm just watching as villagers just pop.
Oh yeah,
pop,
they just
pop,
like
pop, pop,
spawn
pop.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
One thing that's going to bother you later, or at least that bothered me, is there is no fast travel.
Oh, there is in Dark Arisen.
Oh, they added that?
They added that.
Because in the original, there was no fast travel.
That's one of the reviews I read said, "Hey, fast travel."
And, okay, so you won't notice it then. But yeah, in the original, there was no fast travel. So in order to go back to the original village, you would run your happy ass back all the way. Now, there was a shortcut that you could clear out. Like, it was a little mini dungeon that would take you through the mountains. But other than that, it would take forever to get anywhere in that game.
At the moment, I'm liking it in the same way I liked Skyrim. In Skyrim, you kind of get out of that first dungeon, you're looking around, and everything looks so awesome. And you're like, wow, this really feels like a world. After I got out of that first fishing village and I'm kind of trekking around, I'm like, wow, this really feels like a world, as opposed to something like White Knight Chronicle, which just feels like a series of interconnected dungeons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
The Ease games feel the same way to me.
Yeah.
You go here, this is your hub grassland, and then off that grassland.
And then there's all these
everything
little
else.
areas you go into that are instanced off. And,
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of instancing in that game. Like the little dungeon that you go into is a separate load area because it's a big area and it's like texturally different.
Well, I had extra time, you have a little bit of time before you have to go anywhere, and I did a dungeon that's underneath the fishing village. You jump in the well.
Yeah, you go down the well and do all that.
Yeah, and that seemed instanced, which I don't mind that, and I don't really
Like side
mind-
areas, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
I don't really mind instancing at all. It's more of how the world is built and how it feels.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and what I played of Dark Arisen now, have you been like taking other people's pawns and using them for a while?
I turned the network thing totally off.
Oh, the pawn system's actually really cool. Like you'll get people's pawns and you will send yours out and they'll come back with like, what do they call them? Like potions and stuff, expendables or whatever they call.
Curatives.
Well, no, there's like some word that starts with an E that you use. I can't remember what it is off the time. Anyway.
I made my main pawn, and my problem became the voice I thought I gave her was not the voice I gave her, and it was extremely grating. So supposedly somewhere in Dark Arisen, there's a place you can go to change their voice to something else.
Change up your pawn.
It's just so hard when you just have to pick
You
your
only
voice
get, like,
and it's all
Two or three voice samples for each, and
And you're
that's
like,
it.
no, I want to know what this is actually going to sound like.
What are they going to sound like all the time when they're not just attacking things?
So, yes, my pawn sounds like she's been downing massive amounts of helium.
Oh, so you got the fairy voice or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, not good at all.
No.
But the game itself is good, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it here coming up on my days off.
And you know, the grappling system on the larger enemies is kind of fun, where
That
you
was
like climb up
very
on
cool.
the Cyclops, and you have to like start stabbing him in the back or the leg or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's neat. Like when you fight the Griffin later, you actually climb up on his legs, and he flies up off the air, and the guys will shoot at him while you're stabbing him in the leg. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was really cool. Reminds me a lot of Shadow of the Colossus.
It is a neat game.
Just climbing. So that's that. That's what I've been playing. You know, it's good that I was thinking back on it. It's good. You know, everyone's always talking about the next generation. You know, what games you're getting, what games you're getting. I'm only getting Killzone.
I thought you were getting Knack as well, or are you gonna wait?
I'm gonna wait on Knack.
Okay.
Knack will probably come after the camera. I'll probably get the camera before Knack, but it's gonna wait because you know we'll have Killzone, we'll have all the free-to-play games, and I'll have the games from PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, Resogun and Contrast, right?
Yeah. So I'll have a lot to play, but at the same time, like I'm not getting rid of my PS3. There's a lot of things I'm gonna go back for, and
Yeah,
Dragons Dogma seems like one of the things I'm gonna go back for.
I've got Nino Kuni just waiting,
Yeah, I
just
still have a lot
waiting for me to move the PS3 into the office so that I can start playing that.
I still have a lot of Nino Kuni to go into, and I've been away from Nino Kuni for so long. I'll
You're
probably
probably
have
gonna have
to
to start over.
But I have a big long vacation coming up, so that'll be that.
Oh, you could probably beat it in a week and a half, right?
Speaking of the next generation of consoles, so Xbox, Target,
Yeah.
the American retailer Target apparently shipped out 150-ish, that's the rumor,
Yeah.
Xbox One consoles
What, 2 weeks early?
2 weeks early, and
And
some dude got his and started
Posting videos on the internet about it.
videos, tweets, you know,
Yeah.
basically just taking shots of the store and being like, hey, this is so many gigs, this is so many
Yeah,
gigs.
yeah, and it's it's kind of funny that we got this with the Xbox instead of the PSN or the Sony.
Yeah, a lot of people
PS4.
thought that this was a guerrilla marketing tactic by Microsoft to kind of steal some thunder from the PS4's launch.
Which is not a bad thing, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, but how they're going about it, they're not stealing any thunder. Like,
Well, I mean,
Microsoft's
Kotaku
response-
is talking about it off and on all week, or since what, Thursday, Wednesday, something like that.
No, well, the earliest person to get his machine got his on Thursday.
Yeah.
They posted about it on Friday because the guy was trying to sell it on eBay, and then Friday night is when this all really blew up.
Yeah. So
Friday
I
night
mean,
into
the
Saturday
weekend
morning.
before the PS4 launch is a pretty heavy. It was a pretty good time for them
Yeah,
to be
but
talking.
Sony's not talking about anything going like.
Well,
there's
yeah.
there's nothing from Sony that has been looked over because of this.
No. Well, I don't know. I've seen like 3 or 4 Kotaku articles. Well, the same Kotaku article keeps coming up in the top 5
Yeah.
on their thing, and everything else is non-Sony related. It's usually like stuff talking about BlizzCon because BlizzCon
Yeah.
happened this weekend too. But yeah, if Sony's not saying anything new that we don't already know, we're not missing out on new
Yeah.
Sony news. It's just everybody's hearing about the Xbox One and all the stuff that's coming with it right now.
Yeah.
And
And Microsoft's response has been basically to shut down Xbox Live.
Well, to shut Xbox Live off for everybody who's not on the white list.
Yeah.
Which is usually like the reviewer guys and
Yeah.
stuff like that have early like developer Xboxes so
People
that they
that
can
have
test
developed
stuff out.
like that. And because of that, you can't download the day one patch, so you have a paperweight. that
Yeah,
can't
you
do
have a
anything.
$500 paperweight.
Yeah. And if you were lucky enough to get the day one patch before they closed you out of Xbox Live, you can play single player disc-based games.
Yeah, or if you bought anything on the store and downloaded it before.
No, they
killed
say
it.
you can't even play those.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
because they would have to authenticate.
It would have
probably.
to authenticate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have an Xbox One and you got the patch before Saturday morning, is when we think.
Yeah, the rumor is that they turned it off sometime on early Saturday morning.
Late Friday night, early Saturday
Yeah.
morning. So if you have it, great. You could play Xbox One games by yourself. Which you could play Assassin's Creed. You could play Rise. I mean,
that is cool.
Yeah, it's cool that you could play those games.
And Xbox could have said you can't play those games.
Well, I mean,
Like,
once
they
you've got
could
the
have said
patch.
they could have sent an update that temporarily bricked your system.
Yeah, but then they may have perma-bricked your system, knowing how that stuff might go.
They did say that they're going to let these people on Xbox Live sooner than the release date of the Xbox
So
One.
probably like the Wednesday or Thursday beforehand.
Yeah, I would say the Wednesday's probably pushing it, but if Microsoft's good guys and everything's rolling correctly.
Yeah, I mean, if you already got now they have to assume, right? Like with all these pre-orders going out, Amazon and Target, Walmart, whatever. There's going to be people who get their systems, that Tuesday or Wednesday before the actual launch. Now, the Wednesday
there's
or
gonna be mistakes.
there's the Wednesday or Thursday 2 weeks before the launch is the
Yeah.
problem. They're not done finalizing the UI, I
Which
guess.
is weird.
Well, I mean, they're probably doing little tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Hope it's like the little stuff.
the little tweaks, yeah.
You hope it's not, the rumor about George Lucas running over the final reel of Star Wars to Man's Chinese Theater while the other 2 reels were playing.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Somewhere Microsoft is like, Xbox Live is severely broken, and they're just like so glad this guy didn't see that one page.
Yeah, well, it's possible. It's totally possible that the PSN for the PS4 is broken right now too. So we don't know anything about this stuff. It's just they're still working on their stuff. They're not happy with it, or they're not ready to show it off to everybody. Yeah. That's why we really haven't seen a whole lot of this stuff in like official press.
Yeah,
because
they're still under NDAs.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but maybe they're just not happy with it. Maybe, But I haven't been happy with the Xbox dashboard since the one that was 3 years ago, Blades, where everything was just like. I like that. But yeah, it's whatever. If you got your console and you got it patched, great. You got a couple games with it. You can sit and play next gen, games on it. Awesome. If I had a PS4 now, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
No.
We would both be at our homes playing PS4 games.
But that's one of the things is I understand Microsoft's reaction to this, and I think it's very good that they contacted the people and said, hey, we're just going to have to shut you out because it's not ready, and blah, blah, blah. Where they could have done stuff a lot worse.
They could have straight up MAC address banned these Xbox Ones and been like, you can't get on Xbox Live, sorry.
Like you 100%, like when you were clicking through that update, there was a thing in there that,
somewhere
the
in the in-user license agreement.
Yeah, and you just faulted that by posting all this stuff.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, good luck.
Which would have been really bad PR for them.
It would have been, you think about all the canceled pre-orders that they had earlier this year. Yeah. Think about all the ones that would happen after that. But, we're talking about maybe 150 people who got Xbox Ones already, maybe. Yeah. And probably only about a dozen of them got the patch. Everybody else, why they would be sitting on it, I don't know. If I got a shiny new system in the mail 2 weeks early, I would be like, put this thing online, get everything I can right now. But I think it highlights a bigger problem with these systems is they actually need a day one patch to function.
Yeah.
Like the PS4 has its day one patch. If you don't get it, you can't watch Blu-rays and DVDs on it.
At least you can play games. The Xbox can play games.
With all the changes they made to the Xbox One, you have to have that patch in order to do anything on it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be trying to connect to the internet. But it's just, I think it's a big thing because we complain about day one patches for our games. A day one patch for your system is even worse.
Yeah.
Like if you were on a trip somewhere, right, and you wanted to play your stuff but you didn't have internet access, you would kind of be screwed. You wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, let's say you're at grandma's house for Christmas morning.
Yeah, exactly. And you got your PS4 and grandma has dial-up.
Well,
if grandma has dial-up.
At least the PS4, you could hook it up to a TV and play games. But the Xbox One, you couldn't even hook up to a TV and play games.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Now, I understand your point. I just think that it's silly that there are features that they left out that are pretty much core to.
Well, just like you were saying with Xbox Live, they're just tweaking the interface.
Yeah, they're messing with it and they're doing stuff like that.
And that's this whole thing. They're messing with the Blu-ray player program. They're making tweaks to it.
And I think it's just part of maybe they are rushing these things out the door. Maybe they're not ready to be sent to retail. They're not ready to be out yet, especially on Microsoft's side because they're trying to play catch up with Sony. Ever since Sony did their press conference in February of this year and saying, hey, this is the PS4, it's going to have all these things, and then Microsoft's thing came 3 months later, and then all of a sudden they're both launching within 2 weeks of each other. I think maybe the Xbox One wasn't ready to be pushed out yet. I think they needed to do these updates.
Well, developers have talked about that.
Yeah, and how that's being rushed out, and I don't.
But that doesn't exactly hurt Microsoft because the last Microsoft console was rushed out too.
Yeah, and it came out and it was a hot mess for a while, but people still bought it because it had Halo and it had Call of Duty on it and all that. And so does Sony's got their Halo, Killzone, and it has Call of Duty as well. So I don't know. The day one patch thing just seems silly to me.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
If you're gonna push a game out, because when we were kids, there was no patching. You got your game in your cartridge, and that's all you got.
Yeah.
And
Well, PC games had patches.
PC games had patches, but these aren't PCs; they're consoles.
Yeah.
So, but it's been like this since 2006, 2007 when these consoles came out. ever since we've been able to network our consoles together and they've had hard drives and stuff, you've been having to deal with patches to the systems and things like that. And it just, I don't know. It's cool that they can update the features of it, but it's at the same time, it's like it's shipping without certain features that people primarily use these things for. Like my PS3 is primarily a Blu-ray player. I watch more movies on it than I play games. You could do that out of the box on the PS3 when you bought it brand new, right? You didn't have to patch it. There was no firmware update on day one.
When I bought mine, I had to download a firmware update, but I bought mine
like the first couple of weeks.
6 months after it launched.
But when had you not put it online, you could still play games and watch Blu-rays on it, correct?
Sure.
Yeah. So locking out features like that, it bothers me.
Well,
but I understand it's whatever.
I think it's a question of are they locking it out, or is it just that program's not installed on
it wasn't
that hard
it wasn't
drive?
ready when they went to manufacture,
Yeah.
probably. But why was it sent to manufacture that way? And in 6 months, are you still going to have to get that same day one patch, or are they going to have that data pre-installed?
Well, I mean, kind of like Windows. I mean, you can build the awesomest computer ever.
But you still have to put Windows on it.
You still have to put an OS on it.
Yeah.
Or else it's not going to run.
Well, yeah, but that's because hard drives don't come. That's because PC hard drives don't come with system data installed on it.
Yeah.
That's how those work.
The console maybe doesn't come with the system data installed on it.
Well, then you just.
I'm surprised we're getting this flack from you, the PC Master Race.
No. I'm saying as a console, and your opinion of a console is, I don't want to mess with it. I just want it to work.
I just want it to work.
Okay, you have to mess with it, and you have to do this patch that could take anywhere between 10 minutes and 10 hours, depending on the system. It's a 300 meg thing, but if you're talking, 12:15 on the 15th, everybody's going to be downloading this patch all at once, so it could take forever to get.
Yeah.
It's just, if it's a console, it should just work. You shouldn't have to get it online to play games. You shouldn't have to get it online to watch Blu-rays. You shouldn't have to get it online to do anything.
I'm with you on the first thing. I'm not with you on the other two.
I don't think you should.
If the PlayStation was primarily a Blu-ray player, I would say
which it is in a lot of people's homes.
But that's great. It's not what it's designed for. It's not called the Blu-ray station. It's called the Play
Yeah,
station.
I understand. I'm saying, never mind.
I'm just saying, the primary function of that machine is to play
It's
video
also the
games.
Netflix box.
That's true.
And for a long time, it was the cheapest Blu-ray player on the market. So
That's
people
also
would buy
true.
it specifically because it was a Blu-ray player.
That's great.
And they never bought a game for it.
The primary function of that thing is to play video games.
Well, the primary function of a computer is to just do math.
Yeah, well.
And that math does cool things on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, people buy El Caminos to haul shit, but the primary usage of an El Camino is not as the truck. It's as a car.
That has a truck bed.
Yes, an awesome truck bed.
I wish I had an El Camino.
We're talking about the primary design usage of the device.
I don't know. The patching of a console seems silly to me in the first week.
Yes.
We
went over that last time.
Yes.
I think it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering more, not so much the first week, but the 100th week or 1000th week or whatever, of when you've moved on to your next platform, let's say the PS3. Now, once they've moved away from the PS3 totally in 3 or 4 years, do they manufacture PS3s with the latest firmware built in that they're not going to keep upgrading that firmware? Is the last model of the PS3, are you able to just play it without updating it?
Well, thinking about that, the Wii Mini, right?
Yeah.
It probably comes with whatever the last version of the Wii software was.
Yes.
So, we kind of have a precedence for that because, the original Wiis all had Wi-Fi built in. You could do whatever with them. Mm-hmm. These Wii Minis, you can't. They don't connect online. You can't connect them to the store or anything like that.
Yep.
So I think you're probably right. They probably will, once they have stepped away from it entirely, and they're no longer updating the PS3's firmware, they will probably just launch it or ship it with,
This is it. This is the last one.
Whatever.
That's the important thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because as a console collector, as a vintage game collector, you want it to be able to work in posterity.
Yeah.
And if 30 years from now a kid goes and finds a boxed PS3 and it has the last firmware on it, he can plug it in and play all the games.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be the hope.
That is the hope.
Also in 30 years when we're on the PlayStation 7 or 8 or whatever they're going to call, whatever will be on at that time.
If we haven't killed ourselves by then, yes.
Yes, the robots haven't uprisen. The whatever incarnation of the PSN will still be going, and there will probably be a server attached to that network that has
PSN games or PS3 games.
Yeah,
on it.
destroyed no longer like the last edition of the firmware for the PS3, the last edition of the firmware for the PS4, the last edition, all the way through.
Yeah.
As long as Sony's game division stays above water, which it probably will, like that is once again one of the three crown jewels in Sony's tiara.
Yeah.
And it will continue to be for years to come. So no sign of that stopping.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm worried about it at some point if we're going to start getting like beta consoles and stuff's going to come out, it's going to be broken. And people are like in the next generation. If
you could argue that without the DLNA and without the MP3 playback and the ability to play
the
CDs,
PS4 is
broken.
And the Xbox One is broken because of something. Yeah,
the fact that the Xbox One can't work without a firmware update, I would say that definitely leads you to say
it's beta hardware, it's broken.
I would agree that that's broken. If you have to plug it into the internet for it to fix itself.
Yes. I'm just worried because we get games that come out that are essentially super beta test, like not even Steam Greenlight stuff.
Come out with like 4 gig patches.
Yeah, a 4 gig patch for a game. Now, unless it does some significant like texture updating or new sound files and stuff like that, but if the core gameplay it doesn't work or the core functionality of the product that you were buying it does not work, then that is a broken machine to me. And the Sony thing with the MP3s not supporting that's a money thing. They don't want to pay the licensing fees for everybody.
Or it's a resource management thing.
Yeah.
What do we want to get out the door first? This thing these people pay for, or the one they don't pay for?
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like you said, if you have to connect it to the internet in order to play the games that you have bought, that is a problem.
Yeah, the core functionality of the PlayStation is to play games.
Yes.
And it will do that without a firmware update. So says Shuei Yoshida and all the people at Sony. The core function of the Xbox is to play games.
I don't know. It might be a cable box because they talked about TV a lot.
No.
TV, sports, Halo. TV, sports, Halo.
Dogs. Anyway, so the Xbox One will not function. And I got to tell you, if I were sitting on a PS4 for the past week that I couldn't do anything with, that just got to sit and look pretty in my
You turn it on and have a little blue LED come on.
Yeah. If they told me like you have to basically sit on this for 2 weeks because you're not going to be able to use it because you have to connect to the internet to download a patch, I would be going crazy.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
I would be like licking the box and be like,
just want you to work.
So I feel for those people out there that have Xbox Ones that cannot use them. I'm sorry.
I'm sure there is a way that people could get the Xbox One patch without having to connect their Xbox directly to the internet. I'm sure there's a USB thumbstick equivalent update. Because I know there's one for Sony on theirs.
Sony does that.
And they'll even send you a Blu-ray.
Yep.
So.
Does Microsoft?
I don't know.
I mean,
they haven't detailed that yet.
Yeah, they've said you can't connect to Xbox Live, and we're not going to let this patch out in the wild. So.
Well, but that doesn't mean people haven't already.
Well, they've gotten it and stuff. Like maybe.
There's a way to do it.
Yeah, if they can hack, someone had it already. Well, that's it for this week. Don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon. Have a wonderful week. We'll be back next week.